Finally, the bug out bag video. You've heard me talking about it. It's something I've been working on a little while, and I was perfecting it in part, but then we ran into some problems shooting the video. And we actually ended up being quite a bit longer than what I had hoped the video to be. So I'm going to keep this kind of brief, but I did want to take a second to tell you how this came to be and kind of the approach taken so you understand a little bit what it is that you're looking at. So my friend Butch Erskine from hopeforsurvival.com, he had been bugging me for a long time, recommending, I should say, that I have some kind of a bag with me on my person at all times in order to deal with, say, unplanned emergencies and things like that. I always kind of laughed it off as a little bit extreme for the level of preparation that I was willing to undergo. Well, then it was Irene, was it? Or Ira? What was the last hurricane that came through? Well, in our area, we had a tornado come through, and I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I was not home when it hit, and I had to get home, and I had a really hard time doing that, to the point that it was very, very close to me making the decision to abandon my vehicle and walk in, which I was not really prepared to do at the time. And after witnessing what I did, I realized that I need to take this a little bit more seriously. And so I had been kind of considering the idea for a while anyway, but I really wasn't happy with the information that I was finding out there, by and large. The stuff, it seemed good stuff. I'm not trying to knock any of it, but it just didn't really seem applicable to what I was looking for, which was this. And this is what I want you to know about the bag. So why I decided to do it at this point in my life was because of that experience trying to get home through the tornado. And what I was trying to accomplish was a bag that I could put in my vehicle to use for get home purposes, and designed to be that I could be, say, within about 60 miles, within 3 to 5 days, that I could walk home under most circumstances. I didn't plan for, we're southeastern Pennsylvania here, which is fairly temperate, but it can get cold and it can definitely get wet. So some of that I prepared for. And then the other thing is I wanted to keep it fairly lightweight, not too expensive. I spent a couple $100 on this. You could cut that back with a couple of items that were pretty expensive in the mix. But I wasn't trying to cover every scenario. My focus was to get home, not necessarily be super comfortable or necessarily be able to deal with every circumstance. There's something really unique about the approach that I took, and you're going to see it in the video, and I'll just let the cat out of the bag now. It's a bag in a bag approach, and I think that really makes this a valuable idea worth considering. My hope is that you'll look through, and at the end, I'm going to give you the list of items, and I'll have a link somewhere or something that you can get that as well. If you can't decide for yourself from the images here, I'll have the actual printed list for you. But my idea wasn't so much to tell you how to create your bag, but to give you ideas to create your own. And I'll just tell you, maybe I'll do a future video on it. My Christmas present to my wife this year is a bag for her car. She travels from time to time to see her family in New York City and Rhode Island. And I thought, wow, what if she got off route for some reason? There was a power down or whatever kind of scenario. But they're not going to be putting on the miles to get back home that I would be putting on. So we designed a different bag for them. Maybe I'll do a video on that in the future. Long story short, long-winded way of saying, you're going to need to design the bag for your purposes. I just wanted to give you some ideas. But I think the bag-in-bag approach, I think you're going to like it. And if you look at the way I built in redundancy, I think you're going to like it. And I think there's a lot of items on my list that you should ought to consider for your list. Lightweight, inexpensive, very useful. Let's jump into it. Let me show you what's so unique about this pack. It's something special that I haven't seen anybody else do. And I think you're going to find that it really gives you a big advantage. It's not very expensive and it's not difficult to do. We open up the main compartment of this, and I'm going to take you through all the features one by one, but there's a couple of key things. What do you want immediate access to in your pack? And I suppose you have to sort that out for yourself, but put some dust masks. I'm going to go back through this. This is a nice little device. Lantern does some other things. Water, right? So what have we covered there? And also a poncho here, a military poncho that can serve as a shelter. I mean, this stuff right here will probably keep you alive for 24 hours if you had to, right out of the top of the pack. But here's what makes this special. Let me show you this. I open this up. Some of you might recognize this already. This is what's called a military butt pack, Ranger pack, I've heard them called. But it basically usually sits on a cartridge belt worn around your waist, and it sits in the small of your back. This one came with a side satchel as well. So what did I just do by doing that? I gave us extra carrying capacity, which is huge. You know, of all the things that you can prepare for, how many times have the kit actually included additional carrying capacity? You know, if you need the convenience of more storage, you have this. If you need something stealthier, you have this. And it's really something unique, I think, to consider, to having an extra pack of some sort. What if you need to collect firewood or whatever, material for something? Maybe you have access to food or whatever that you might need to carry, medicine or something else in whatever situation. That alone could be a huge lifesaver. What I wanted to do now is just do a quick overview of everything that's in this kit. And then I'm going to go back through from the studio where the sound quality is a little better. And I'll go through the benefits of each item a little bit more. We've got, like I mentioned earlier, right in the top compartment, a dust mask. Could be huge in a fire scenario or some kind of a storm scenario. This is a lantern, solar powered, has a USB charger, so you can charge a phone and other devices, has a micro USB, and also you can crank it to start it, and there's another little flashlight there. So this basically provides us a little unlimited power station. I want you to think about that in terms of an emergency. There's more to come. Military canteen and canteen cup. There is a canteen pouch on the side of the butt pack. I'll show you that. But water gives us the ability to cook and warm things up. Could be very helpful as well. You got a military poncho here, and if you know how to use this, it's great. You can throw it on, you can cover your pack. You can easily use this to create a shelter. Let me go to the outside compartments of the pack. 2 bottles of water. So all tonal with our canteen, we've got a ½ gallon of water with us. Top compartment up here. Convenient little flashlight. Head lantern, the batteries aren't in it because we don't know when we're going to use this. You could debate whether you wanted to do that or not. Come in the outside compartments here. Got a little survival manual that came with something that I purchased, so I just left that in there. This is a little fishing kit. I just pulled it together from our tackle box. A little fishing line I wrapped around some cards and some hooks in there. Not really something that I would need in this kit typically, but it's there. It's a very lightweight, easy to include. Alright, so this is the outside compartment. Antibacterial wipes, kind of a convenience item. Then we've got long-term food. We've got these bars. 3 of those a day gives you a 1,200 calorie day. And then this would be another 400 calories, 1 a day. So there's 3 days worth of food there. 2 survival blankets for shelter, laying on. Wire could be used for a variety of things, building shelter, wounds, weapons potentially. This is another power station. Remember I said we want to create redundancy in everything that we can. So we've got this power station with the solar and the hand crank, and now we've got a big solar battery. This has a flashlight on it and up to 3 USB ports there. That could become very important. So we've got redundancy in our power, 2 solar, 1 hand crank, 3 total. That takes care of everything on the outside of the backpack and the main compartment. Alright, so let's get into the meat of this a little bit. This is the main pack, and I've put this shoulder strap on it to create redundancy even with our carrying material. And I've got some things on the outside of it. First, I've got our canteen pouch, so we could carry that there if you wanted to. You could get put that canteen in here, maybe add a collapsible to the kit if you were in a place where you needed more water. I'm here on the East Coast, so I wasn't, you know, a half gallon of water is a pretty good amount. This is a small blade knife, nothing too fancy. I wanted to stay lightweight, and this is a small flint. I know a lot of people would debate, you know, whether you wanted a larger fire strike or something like that. You could decide that for yourself, obviously. And then rather than a big knife, I went with this, which is a digging tool, has a little serrated edge as well as a knife edge, some wrench tools here, bottle opener here. You can pull nails with it. It's got some cordage on there. But I like this for preparing shelter. I thought that would be a very helpful tool, and that's on the outside of the kit there. All right, let's go inside here for the good stuff. You're going to find a lot of redundancy, and we've covered, I think, all the bases, at least for my needs, okay? Gloves, cold weather, wet weather, dangerous things, could be very important. Extra pair of socks, all right? I just grabbed an older pair of socks, something to keep inside, all right? This is a little beanie that I had, cold weather hat, great for sleeping, disguise, warming up, you know. So we got gloves, socks, and a beanie. Might keep you alive right there. This is important stuff you might not think, but if you got to travel, and the purpose of this bag was mainly as a get-home bag. I wanted to be able to travel 30, 45 miles to get home if I needed to on foot. I just took an old pair of sunglasses and a pair of clear goggles in case I need that based on conditions. Cold weather survival is very important, all right? We've got fire starter, the flint. I'm going to show you some more of that. But what if we got to get warm quick? What if we got hypothermia setting in? I got some hand warmers and some toe warmers. Could also be huge in terms of keeping us moving in a disaster situation. These are a couple of extra large bandanas. Face coverings, double up with the dust masks, headgear, filtering things, bandage, sling, all the above. This little kit. I'm going to give you a close-up of all this, but let me keep moving to give you the overview. Pencil, pen, map, notebook. Huge in an emergency situation. Emergency tent. This is basically like a big Nylar sock. It has some line on it. You could set it up as a tent where you'd climb in there, or you could just climb in it like a sleeping bag. So you've got double. We've got the poncho, and we got the emergency sleeping blanket. We've got a spork with a S-hook on here that can be attached on the outside. I don't have hot food in here, but if you got some, you'd probably like to be able to eat it. Could be huge. This is a couple of plastic stakes here that came with that emergency survival tent. I kept them with it just because they're lightweight, okay? Another flashlight sealed in a bag. Lots of light. Let me tell you, if you're trying to travel at night and you don't have light, you've got a problem. This is a little B12 energy drink. Trying to survive, trying to move, and your energy starts dipping down. This could be very helpful. Many of you might know what this is. Life straw. You can basically, you know, drink pond scum with this. It's a backup. We've got water, we've got a life straw. Cordage, not super heavy duty, paracord. Lots of uses for that. A little compact hygiene kit. Why would I have this, would you say, in this situation? Well, morale booster for one. Keep you going. There's 2 cloths in there. What if you have to clean up from a wound? That could become a big deal. These are also, these terry cloths could serve on top of gauze to soak up blood and whatnot. Chapstick, little mini chapstick. Let me tell you something. You get into the right situation, you might be very happy to have that. Hand sanitizer and some disposable toothbrushes. Might be very happy we had that. I've got quite a few of these Mylar blankets in here. Why not? They're lightweight. This is the first aid bag. I've got an extra large ace bandage, waterproof tape, gauze, and some other just little antibiotic ointment and whatnot to clean up a wound, dress a wound, cover a wound. We've got the bandanas that could also serve as a sling. I'm not going to even say anything about that. Where I'm at, that's a must-have. A little backup food inside this pack. And this is actually, if we had to, we could ration, we could actually go 4, 5, 6 days off of the food in here at 1,200 calories a day. If you've ever tried those survival bars, you'd probably have to push yourself to eat that much. It's very sweet. It's like butter with sugar in it, I think, is how they make that. What is this? Miscellaneous stuff. Water treatment tablets, backup to the backup. We've got the Life Straw, we've got water with us, we've got tablets. Duct tape for a variety of uses, wound closure, sealing up a boot, fire starter, 2 lighters. This is a magnesium fire starter. This is another emergency blanket. I think that's the 4th one, 5th one, 2 of those. And that brings us to 5 total, plus there's a lot of redundancy, but if you're traveling under tough conditions and if you needed to help somebody, these could become really helpful, and they're really lightweight. And this is the last thing in the bag. And hopefully you know what that is. And you might be laughing, but if you overlook it, you won't be laughing. I think we got everything covered. There's a lot of redundancy. I'm going to lay it out, and then we'll go back through in more detail.
Warning, this podcast includes unapologetic logic and reason and may not be suitable for all audiences. In a world full of nonsense, he's been called the voice of uncommon common sense. He sees the abnormal that many find normal. Author and award-winning speaker, he is Chris